The last 3 or 4 verses I've been looking at the way consciousness enters into ignorance. It's looking at the way that we enter into ignorance, the way that we construct our own delusion. Once we understand this, we no longer need to cooperate with these tendencies. And the next verse sums it up rather well. Verse 874. With that as cause, and with that other as condition, the Vijnana system is evolved. When these philosophical views are born, transformations take place. So with that as cause and with that other as condition. Well, the cause is our own sensibilities, which take our cue from the conditions which are apparently out there. We're very selective in the conditions that we discriminate in order to fuel our sensibilities here. So our sensibilities are the cause, and the conditions are the environment that we find ourselves in. And it's saying that with this being the case, the Vijnana system is evolved. And the Vijnana system is basically our experience of the world, or our experience generally. It's how we see things, how we experience things. It colours and shapes our mentality. And it's that mentality which is constantly in flux. Although it's a bit like a storm. A storm has a pattern. I think of the red spot on Jupiter. It's a stable pattern which has been there for centuries, and yet it consists of howling winds which would rip the flesh off your bones because they're spinning round at hundreds of miles an hour. It's an extremely violent storm, and yet it's stable. So this is like our mentality. It is like a violent storm. It's at the heart of suffering, of dukkha, and yet it seems to be stable and permanent. We're told that when these philosophical views are born, transformations take place. And the philosophical views are the views of our own mentality. It's how we see the world. It's all based on the assumption that there's a world out there, and there's a me here which is somehow separate from the world. And I'm going around just trying to make the most of things for me and my own. So we all, whether we appreciate it or not, are philosophers. We've all got a view. We've all got a take on the situation that we find ourselves in. And we feel it's the right one to have. It's the one that we need to get by and to make the most out of things for ourselves. And maybe we're content with just getting from one day to the next. Or maybe we've got everything that we wanted. This can be a terrible thing, to get everything that you want. There seems to be these regular deaths of people that are celebrities, and they're self-inflicted deaths. They've got talent, they've got wealth, beauty, adoration, but it still leaves them feeling empty. Empty in the most profound way. empty in the most profoundly distressing way. But this is the nature of our mentality. We need to be aware that we are operating from a particular mentality, from a particular sensibility, and let it go. Let it go. Come back to some kind of stillness. Some kind of stillness based on true equanimity. And the next verse gives a little indication of how this is achieved. Verse 875. All things are like Maya and a dream, and the Gandharvas city. They appear as a mirage, as a lunar reflection in water, be it known that it is all due to self-discrimination. So we're in a state of self-discrimination. We discriminate a self here, separate from out there, and this self is engaging with out there in accordance with its own mentality. So the way back from this is to realize the empty nature of all of this. Imagine you're in a dream. There's all these things going on in a dream, and you're getting emotionally caught up in it, excited, terrified, whatever. There's all these people you're meeting with, or other strange creatures. You might be flying through the air, you might be sitting naked in the high street. But then you wake up and you say it was all a dream. And everything which appeared in that dream, you now give the quality of dream to. And this is how consciousness works. It creates a dream. And when consciousness is in the dream, it is real. But when it wakes up from the dream, it realizes its own nature once again. So we can start regarding all of this as a dream. And all of this includes the body and the whole of my psychic landscape. My whole mentality, all my sensibilities. We like to think of our sensibilities as being good sensibilities, or our taste as good taste. We always justify our taste and our sensibilities. Well, observe that. Observe that. We like things to be just so. Observe this, because this is the world in operation. Your sensibilities in operation. Try and accept things which violate your sensibilities. Yeah, try and do things occasionally which are not in keeping with your own sensibilities. An easy one is just to watch a movie that you might not normally like, and then observe your reaction to it. Don't just cater to your sensibilities all the time. You don't want to get into inflicting damage on yourself though. So be careful. There's a balance between staying in your comfort zone and continually punishing yourself. We don't want to stay in our comfort zone, but we don't want to be continually punishing ourselves either. So anyway, all things are like Maya and a dream and the Gandharvas city. This is the promise of pie in the sky. They appear as a mirage, as a lunar reflection in water. That is not the moon that we're seeing. If we want to see the reality, then look in the other direction. All of this takes the attention in a certain direction. as enlightenment practitioners, turn the attention back in itself. And in this way we come back to the center in which everything is happening. So as enlightenment practitioners, we need to start getting flexible with the arrow of the attention. There's a strong push for it to go in a certain way. As enlightenment practitioners, we've learned to see this, learned to undermine this push, and to turn the attention back in itself. And here we have stillness, we have equanimity, we have peace, we have enlightenment.